Hello.
Check, mic check.
Check, check. Okay, cool. So why do I need this laptop? Okay, all I mean, let it be. There was first miscommunication between both sides. Check. Hi everyone. Can you all hear me? Check. Check. Check.
Can you guys online hear us? Please confirm, can you hear us? Can one of you guys please speak?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Warm greetings to each one of you all present here. I would like to extend a heartfelt welcome and gratitude to Dr. Father Thomas TV, Director, School of Law, Christ Deemed to be University in absentia; Dr. Jaidevan S. Nair, Dean, School of Law, Christ Deemed to be University in absentia; Dr. Sapna S., Associate Dean and Head of Department, School of Law; Dr. Shampa I. Dev, Dr. Sonika Bharadwaj, and Dr. Achutanand Mishra, Program Coordinators, School of Law; Ms. Dia CR, Faculty Coordinator, Model United Nations Society, School of Law, Christ Deemed to be University; Ms. Leena James, Faculty Coordinator for SDG Cell at Christ Deemed to be University; our distinguished panelists for the day, and my dear fellow Christites. I, Dipali Dua, welcome you all to today's panel discussion, which marks the culmination of the two-day-long fourth edition of Sustainable Development Goals Dialogue 2024, organized by Model United Nations Society in collaboration with the SDG Cell. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce and welcome our esteemed panelists for the day. Mr. Venkatesh Sanghanil. Mr. Venkatesh Sanghanil is a dynamic leader serving as the Vice President at Applied Systems and the Karnataka South Coordinator for Paryavaran Sangrakshan, an organization dedicated to environmental conservation with a deep commitment to environmental sustainability. Mr. Venkatesh plays a pivotal role in various impactful initiatives, including lake revival projects, large-scale tree plantation drives, and waste management efforts. His leadership and hands-on approach in these areas have contributed significantly to the restoration of ecological balance in the region. Mr. Venkatesh is passionate about creating a greener, more sustainable future and works tirelessly to raise awareness and implement practical solutions for environmental preservation. His efforts in lake restoration and waste management not only promote environmental health but also enhance community well-being. Through his work, Mr. Venkatesh continues to inspire others to take action for the betterment of the environment. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Second panelist for the day, Dr. K.R. Sriharsha is a distinguished expert in environmental engineering with a deep commitment to sustainable wastewater management. He holds a bachelor's degree in environmental engineering from Mysore University, a master's in environmental engineering from BMS College of Engineering, Bengaluru, and a PhD from Visvesvaraya Technological University, VTU, Belgaum. With an extensive background as an environmental consultant and advisor, Dr. Harsha has worked with various organizations, bringing a wealth of experience to his roles. Notably, he served as the former chairman of the Environmental Impact Assessment Authority, where his leadership and expertise contributed to key environmental policies and sustainable practices. His focus on sustainable solutions highlights his dedication to creating a positive environmental impact. I welcome you, sir. Our next panelist for the day, Mr. Kamal. Mr. Kamal is a highly skilled and passionate architect and interior designer with 9 years of experience in the industry. Known for his creative and innovative approach, Mr. Kamal excels at designing functional, aesthetically pleasing spaces that prioritize sustainability. His expertise spans across residential and commercial architecture, interior design, space planning, and project management. With a proven track record in execution and coordination, Mr. Kamal is committed to delivering tailored design solutions that balance beauty, functionality, and environmental responsibility, making him a trusted name in the world of architecture and interior design. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Our next panelist for the day, Mr. Sitesh Srivastava. Measurable experiences in IT software development, delivery, product and solutions development, program and account management with domain expertise in mobile handset banking and financial services, Mr. Srivastava serves as an asset to the industry. Deep inroads in business development in software services and solutions. Worked in IT startups India as well as established global organizations associated with the startup associations in India and South Africa. Mr. Srivastava has a long-term view in Africa, South Africa work permit. Sir's profile embeds following traits in global geographies: India, United Kingdom, Japan, South Africa. Sir has skilled acceptance in service delivery management, program management, key account management, product management, business development, and work permit for South Africa. I'll welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much.
I now invite Mr. Ayan Rahman, the president for the SDG cell at Christ Team Tube University, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. It is my privilege and honor to welcome you all to today's much anticipated panel discussion on good governance and the formation of good institutions. As part of the 4th edition of Sustainable Development Goals Dialogue, I, Ayan Rahman, the president of the SDG cell here at Christ deemed to be University, and on behalf of the Mall United Nations Society and the SDG cell, I extend my heartfelt thanks to each one of you for joining us in this virtual gathering. We are here to explore an extremely pertinent topic that cuts across sectors and impacts every facet of sustainable development, good governance, and institutional integrity. As highlighted in SDGs 9, 11, 16, and 17, good governance is fundamental to promoting industry, innovation, sustainable cities, peace, and global partnerships. Strong, transparent, and accountable institutions are the bedrock of a thriving society, ensuring equitable policies and fostering trust amongst citizens. Before we begin today's panel, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the grand success of the Asian Parliamentary Debate Competition and the policy-making competition that was held yesterday. The quality of discourse and the innovative policy ideas presented were truly remarkable, and they set a high standard for the rest of the dialogue. These events would not have been possible without the tireless efforts of Ms. Amity Agarwal and Mr. Gautam Satish, the dedicated conveners of the Mall United Nations Society. A special thank you to Ms. Dia CR, the faculty coordinator of MONSOC, and Dr. Lena James, the director of the SDG cell, for ensuring a seamless collaboration and making these events such a resounding success. Today, we are fortunate to have an illustrious panel of experts who bring diverse perspectives and vast experience to this critical dialogue. Let me take a moment to introduce them yet again. Mr. Kamal Kumar, co-founder and principal architect of Arch Oasis, an individual who has worked at the intersection of design and sustainability, ensuring that governance in architecture aligns with sustainable development practices. Mr. Venkatesh Saganal, head of Paryavaran Sankarakshan, Karnataka South, whose work has been crucial in promoting environmental stewardship and governance in line with sustainability goals. Dr. K.R. Sriharsha, former chairman of the Environmental Impact Assessment Authority, Karnataka, whose vast experience in environmental governance has contributed to policy making that prioritizes the planet. Mr. Sitesh Srivastava, Chief Customer Success Officer at Yeti Consulting, will provide insights into the role of governance in the private sector and its impact on ensuring transparent and accountable systems. Together, these distinguished individuals will guide us through the nuances of good governance, the challenges in implementing institutional reforms, and the innovations that drive progress. I encourage all of you to actively participate, engage in the discussion, and take away actionable insights that will inspire positive change in your respective fields. Once again, I thank our esteemed panelists for their time and expertise and our audience for their participations. Without further ado, let us commence this enriching discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Without further ado, I now invite Mr. Calvert Nazareth, the moderator for today's session, to begin with today's panel discussion.
Check. Good morning, everyone. I'm extremely pleased to see that so many of you have joined us so early on this Sunday morning. So sorry about that. I am filled with, I'm very honored to welcome you all to today's panel discussion on the theme Good Governance and the Formation of Good Institutions. that is hosted by the Model United Nations Society at School of Law, Christ deemed to be University, in collaboration with the SDG cell, Christ University. Before I get started off with today's discussion with our esteemed panel that we have before us today, I would really like to contextualize for the audience what the theme for today's discussion really means. Both good governance as well as the formation of good institutions flow from SDG goal number 9, 11, 16, and 17. And good governance as well as the formation of good, strong, and independent institutions is required for the growth of our country while also being conscious of sustainability as well as environmental concerns. And while it might seem like good governance as well as the formation of good institutions involve just one stakeholder, that is the government, I think it's a very expansive theme which includes a number of stakeholders, right from the government that forms the policy to the bureaucracy that is implementing the policy to citizens like you and I who are really feeling the effect of the policy. So without further ado, I would like to ask my first question, and this question is really open to all of the panelists. And that is that India as a country has a very ambitious economic and development policy. But at the same time, India at various international fora has also expressed its commitment to environmental concerns and how it wants to lead the race for environmental protection. So I would like to know from the panel really whether both these goals that India is seeking to achieve, whether they can exist simultaneously and collaboratively, or whether they are mutually exclusive of one another and India will have to prioritize one over the other. We can move across the room and have each one of the panelists answer this question.
Well, I take this opportunity to start. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. So we can coexist. The policies can coexist. The development agenda has to coexist together. Earlier, it was a very sequential approach where, whether it was a group of 8 or a group of 20, but now just 5 years before 2030, it cannot be just group of 8 and group of 20. It has to be a group of 193 members of United Nations that are pushing forward for it. So that's my take, but I would like to hear our other speakers and guests.
Yeah. Hello, this is Kirit Kamal here. So my take on government policies are like it starts from a very simple concept. I won't talk about the bigger aspects because to start with the bigger aspect, we have to start from the smaller aspect of everything. For example, let's talk about an individual. For you, like personally, for me, like what is sustainability in general? So anybody who is having a healthy living, and anybody who is safe and secure, and anybody who has a good work-home relationship. So I think that's where it starts from. So when I say that, that's how this is the basic concept from which the city is formed, and that's how we grow. So the first thing that is important is, for example, now I'm more happy if I'm able to access my workplace easier and don't have to go through heavy traffic congestions and all that. And I'm more happier if I am able to access my college or school where I studied from, like it's nearby to me. And then I'm more happy if I'm getting clean water and electricity and the basic needs what everyone has these days. Now all these things, if we combine together, then it calls for a very important thing, that is satellite towns that you have seen these days, that is coming into picture. Now what is important is government is the main thing. Like I am myself working with BBMP also, like with Bangalore. Where I have designed the Bangalore airport project office as well. And right now we are doing a decongestion from Hebbal to Hennur. Like we are making like a road network that goes. If you see, there's next to the ST Mall, there's a Raj Kalwe, there's a this thing Mori there. So next to that, we are creating like a road network which connects directly instead of the that heavy traffic that happens over there. Now imagine now my work is more oriented towards like I have to go to multiple sites in a day. So if I'm able to access only two sites in a day, just think of my scalability of the business that I'm losing out on. Instead of that, if I'm able to access like say 10 sites in a day, then how about that? Now, this is like, I'm not talking about me as a person, but I'm talking about anybody for that matter. A person who gets late for school, a person who gets late at office and everything. So everything starts there. That's where we realize where sustainability matters a lot. So first and the foremost thing, what I feel is the population control. India is rapidly growing, and I think we have to have some government regulations which can bring out some notions of population control. And it has to be now. If you see compare to cities like Bangalore, so we have like say in 1 kilometer square radius. So the amount of people living compared to US when you have take like a 1 kilometer 1 square kilometer, so they are like say like 1 square kilometer of US, there are around say 25 families living. So the same context, we have 800 people. So imagine the scalability difference. What matters a lot, and how much amount of congestion that happens for us. Now all that amalgamated, we as like I talk about, I would like to quote few examples. Now imagine these, we have the vehicles every day, like we have all the companies and they're selling vehicles every day. I remember when I went for my this thing test drive long back, like 10 years back, one attend at Yeshwanthpur. When I was there, I saw around 40 people coming for this thing, their driving license, this thing. So now imagine 40 people at that moment. That means to say those guys gonna buy a new vehicle immediately after their trial finishes, right? At least not 40, at least 20 of them will buy new vehicles, which will again come into the road. Now the roads are not expanding, and the amount of vehicles that is getting sold every day basis, so that's enormous. Now, to quote a very simple example on that fact, now talk about one bus that takes up a space on the road, and talk about a car that takes up a space on the road. Now, to put it in a context, a bus can carry around 40 people easily at a time, right? And compared to a car which can carry only like 4 to 5 people max. Now, imagine the space on the road that gets utilized by carrying 40 people is equal to the space on the road which gets utilized by carrying only 5 people. So the amount of space that takes on the road, that is what is very important. Now imagine like we all shift. Now talk about Singapore. Now, if I talk about Singapore, there's a government guideline for them, because Singapore is a landlocked country. It has water all around, so it doesn't have a scope of expansion like what Bangalore has as such. So now, for that landlocked country, the government has made policies in such a way that you have to, for buying any vehicle, you have to show a parking space first. Suppose you're buying like a four-wheeler, then you have to show at least one four-wheeler parking space. And apart from that, Singapore has increased the taxation on buying these vehicles like so much. Like I think I don't know the percentage, but it's like it's drastic, and because of which anybody can't just afford it so easily. It's not affordable. Owning a vehicle itself is not affordable, because they have made their transportation so good that I think they're promoting more public transportation. Now imagine more and more public transportations get promoted. That means the country development happens in both ways. Firstly, the development through the revenue that we generate from these public transportation. That is one thing that goes into development of the country itself. And the second thing is decongestion of roads, because automatically, like when lesser, as I told you, a bus, the amount of 40 people carrying together in a car, that space gets wasted. So we can see how much of difference that makes over there. So so there are a lot of examples like that. Now, for example, if we see, our society has to be such that we should be, I said, work home relationship, right? So now we are talking about bullet trains and all that. Now that's again comes as a part of government policies, how when it will get executed and all those things. So the workability is important as soon as it starts. Now imagine me as a person who is working in Bangalore, but I can stay at Chennai. My house could can be at Chennai. I can still work at Bangalore, and the vice versa. I have a house at Bangalore because of bullet train. I can access my workplace, which is in Chennai, within like 2 hours of span. Now this way we are decongesting the city because people are moving out as well for work. So this is another way of government policies that is like very important. uh, Now we have poor road maintenance that everyone knows, where everyone talk about. I myself, I think all of us would have faced at time when we are driving in a car or two-wheeler, like we come across some pothole and we come across, and it's a danger, this thing that can affect a lot of us, right? I think I would have myself escaped so many accidents. I think all of us can relate to that. So just those small minor issues are there, and I hope I mean, when I'm working with BBMP now, the major issue is with this political system altogether. So when we talk about, I mean, that we know India as a whole is functioning on a very wrong scale altogether in terms of politics, right? So I have designed right now. There's a design of Mysore Zoo aquarium that I'm designing right now. So when it comes to politics, the amount of ball game there, the fund, party funds, and all that, the amount which has been designated for a particular thing, that doesn't happen. And if that doesn't happen, then automatically, uh, I mean, we are up. The person who's a contractor, he'll automatically use a substandard material to go ahead with the thing. So we have to bring out. I think government systems can work very smoothly without affecting all these things by creating a business module instead of putting money onto something. Now, yesterday I'll give you a very simple example. I had put lighting on a boundary wall of a particular house. Okay, and we were creating these the wireframes for that so that we can connect all these lights and all together. And at night I was thinking, why don't we use solar panels, because it's just like a boundary light and we really don't need anything like this thing. No, I mean, amount of electricity that saves over there just by one, I saved at least few watts of electricity just by using those things at one house. And even we have concept of, I mean, solar panels are very much on trend these days. I think that's the next thing that's gonna happen right now. Even when we talk about that, not only saves in terms of energy, also in terms of when we talk about air quality, like especially in cities like Bangalore, when it's like heavy traffic and everything. Now there are few things right now. Of course, we are moving towards electrical vehicles and solar panels and energy saving concepts. But what is important is like there are these building components, as we have mentioned, that for if you have to create like an aesthetic pleasing environment, as along with our green efficient mode of what we are thinking of right now, there's something called as ProSolve 370E module. So, I mean, you can just write it down. So, ProSolve 370E module is basically like a design system. We create a facade of a building. It's if you check on internet, you'll have the images. You'll get to know what it is exactly. It takes up the smog and converts it into carbon dioxide and water. Now, the smog and pollution from this thing can be absorbed by the building components itself. So we have to bring in those materials into the market so that we can increase the energy efficiency, and we can increase the productivity of our system. Now, apart from that, we talk about architecture. So there are cities like Chandigarh, which has been designed by Lee Corbusier immediately after independence. So that's the first planned city of India. Now, Chandigarh itself is a microcosm which can inhabit everything altogether at a time. Now, what does that mean is Chandigarh has got, like, if you open the map of Chandigarh, right, it has been so well planned. It's a city which can live by itself without the whole world existing at all. It doesn't need the whole world for its own function. It has got everything like within the periphery of the whole city limits. because they have created malls, shopping complexes, and then hotels and restaurants and school, colleges, and everything at within the limits what we can reach out easily. So as I spoke about the work home relationship, this also holds very good when we are able to we are very happy if we are able to reach place in time, and we are able to do more efficiently the work what we want to do. So I think those are very important for a whole, that's where the satellite towns are forming right now. If you see the big builders like Prestige and Brigade and everyone, what they're doing is firstly they are creating, and they're not in the city anymore. If you see, because the lands are not available, first of all they're moving out of city, far off areas where they have acres and acres of land available. What they do is they create big residential towers, and then when they create a big residential towers, they cater to the mostly the IT industry or the particular industry where they create around, and then these guys stay there, and then they have their kids going to school, so immediately they create a school there, and they have to go to shopping complexes, they immediately create a shopping complex as well. So that's how the cities are forming right now. And Lee Corbusier said a very had actually he had a vision. He's a very famous architect. He's a French architect. He had a vision. He is the one who has designed Chandigarh actually. So he had a vision that we need to have cities which have more skyscrapers. Now imagine, I'll give you again a simple example like the bus and the car that I told you. A bus carrying 40 people and the car carrying 5 people on the road, and the road space gets wasted. So similarly, imagine in terms of buildings. Now, if I talk about a tower project, right? So a tower has got, say, 1,000 people living in a flat. Now the 1,000 people is distributed into the vertical, because vertical we have end space till whatever it is. There's no scope for it. Burj Khalifa is also not the limit now anymore. So when we are talking about the horizontal space, the earth space is what is we are limiting on. So imagine if we make 30, 40, say there are 40 houses together. Okay. The amount of space that takes, instead of that 40, we can create at least 100 or 200 people living in a tower. And the tower width reduces. The remaining space which is left out is used for greenery and everything, the parks and open spaces and jogging tracks. And now if I see during, I remember when I used to study during my like childhood, I have since my background is like my dad was in army, so I have been in those spaces where I used to have big playgrounds and all to play. Now Bangalore is a city where I'm seeing like these Montessori schools and the primary schools, and they're all like a building. Building is called as a primary school. So so that's how we have to see in those lines also, like how we can decongest things so that we can have more green spaces. So we need to come up ideas with tower and more open spaces so that we have a good views as well, and plus we can save much on the greenery right round. So having said that, I think I'll move to the next speaker. I think I spoke for a while. So
that generally happens, in this, the topic like this, on SDGs,
yes, yes,
it's very important. I'd like to add very short. I think I'll go back to the context of the question, and also where Sitesh kind of addressed it a little. Yes, it can coexist. Development and sustainability can coexist. And if you look at the UN Charter, where India has been participating very vocally this time, and then committing bold commitments, really, really bold. Sometimes it looks like, is it achievable sometimes, but you never know. So yeah, why development should happen? I mean, we're still at probably 2.3 ton per capita in India, and whereas America and China are like 9 ton per capita carbon emissions. And overall, if you look at the country standpoint, I mean, China is at 10 and 10 gigaton, and America is 5. That's what I read, and India is still very, very small carbon footprint in that area. Having said that, I don't want India to go where they are yet. I think India can actually, while developing, can they initiate things which probably keep it less, and then still develop. Some of the initiatives, like wonderful initiatives like UPI. I mean, I think Nandan Nilekani worked on that, and his brain behind that, and also Aadhaar. Together, the kind of impact that they've kind of given to the country, like 140 crores. When the still entire world is still grappling with security issues to kind of whether implement or not, we are ahead of that. Having said that, say imagine the DBT that has been implemented. It's been, I'm not taking any governance right now, because it's been probably efforts of all the officers and politicians and governments in the past and today. So imagine the money that's supposed to get to a beneficiary was humongous. If somebody wants to do a PhD, or institution itself wants to do a PhD, I think it's a topic of the PhD. Such a big volume of money, and it was going manually. Now, click of a button, it gets into their account. And imagine the carbon emission that it can reduce. I think PwC has done some kind of study, but it's not full yet. I think it's yet to kind of. So people kind of transferring to the banks, and people going to the offices, and then multiple times because of corruption and things like that, they don't get, again they come back, and imagine the kind of effort and pain they go through. It's all kind of demolished in one one of the technology that probably country has used. Same thing with FASTag. I'm sure the cars have increased, and everything is increased, and consumerism is being taken up in a big way. And it will come up. I'll tell you. The Navy. The ports that we are developing, it will happen more. More and more business will come into India. But so FASTag has reduced a lot of carbon emission. I mean, imagine Nelmangla toll. I mean, Kamal must probably know, because he's looking at Hebal. Nelmangla used to be a nightmare when you come from this thing, and
Yes.
and the wait time was too huge. The wait time, somebody has again studied. I don't have the numbers with me right now, but so the wait time has a lot reduced, especially the trucks, and that's a huge load on the infrastructure. So that has reduced carbon emission. So I think from a governance side, the policies have to come in. Like Niti Aayog must do a lot of study, and governance actually has to implement like these things, and citizens have to be have to abide by those rules and these things. And also, can we be think big, or think global and act local is probably should be our goal. How do we live? Probably I think next topic, the admin will probably throw it, and we'll probably touch upon that. But let's be pro planet, people, PPP. If I want.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What a nice term, PPP.
Dr. Harsha, if we can hear from you as well.
Can't hear you, Harsha. Now it's on mute. Okay, now you're off. Yeah. No, you still can't. Others can hear. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, it's my issue.
I hope the audience is able to hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Harsha, if you're on the call, we'd like to hear from you as well on your thoughts on the question of whether policies on economic and economic development as well as environmental policies can coexist with one another. I think we're facing a slight technical glitch there. So I think meanwhile we can move on while Dr. Harsha tries and joins us back. My next question is to Kamal sir. I think a couple of things that you said were really interesting. And I think the audience probably has not ever heard of what a satellite town is or what it looks like. So I'd like to know from you, what is it like to have a satellite town? What does a satellite town look like? Or what is sustainable infrastructure or a sustainable city? How does it look like to, say, a layperson? And you also speak about how there is politics that is involved, and because of which there are a number of challenges that you probably face. I'd like to know, are there any other challenges that you face because of institutions not coming up with good urban development and urban planning policies? So if you could shed some light on this, we'd love to hear.
Okay. The first thing that is what, like you talk about MG Road, okay, Bangalore 1. So that's the start of Bangalore when see cities, what India has got like amazing history, and the formulations of cities have happened with the past from our ancestors when they used to live in villages. So villages became cities, right? There must be a time when everything must be like a village, right? And then slowly people, so the basic thing what I always say is, it is like people were born naked. Okay, the day when somebody wore leaf, that guy was richer than the other people. Other people suddenly felt that they're poor that day because they did not have something that this person had. So the whole concept came from there. So when the villages started become cities, so that's where, like, you talk about MG Road, like MG Road number one, like you have the mall, and that's a central place of Bangalore, right? So that is the starting hub of Bangalore when it started all together. And those times never used to have mobiles and no communications as such. So those times the cities used to live automatically satellite without any communications with each other. Now you're not a person. I think somebody raised. I think we can just like, hello, sir.
That's why I think you can probably, conclude, and then, small conclusion, and then he can take over.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, I'll just continue after like sir talks about, no issues.
Yeah, good morning, all my co-panelists. That was really a nice opening remarks by Mr. Kamal and Mr. Venkatesh Sagnal and the other speaker. So looking at the perspective of governance in terms of environmental sustainability is a word which we are talking now actually. Since the onset of industrialization, but traditionally, if you look at the traditional aspects of our country, this has been a society which is very conservative in its approach all along, and less of consumerism basically. Since times immemorial, the country has been a society which was of less conservation, more of conservation and less of conservative, consumptive society. When compared to Western world, our tradition has been a sustainable living. But anyway, now since there is an advancement in the overall developmental aspects, the country has been witness, and as a global situation, the mankind has seen the highest footprint of people at this point of time. 2023 May, the world has crossed 800 crores of people. So not only our country, as a global situation also, the entire world is witnessing a drastic change in terms of the climatic conditions. There has been substantial change with respect to the global situation, with respect to this global warming and other issues. It is not only, but it doesn't just pertain to our country. It is a global scenario. That is why most of the countries are now sitting together and looking for a future which can be a sustainable living. From governance point of view, there are many issues which has to be addressed. No doubt, there is quite a number of issues pertaining to the pollution, the urban situation, urban scenario, especially with respect to a lot of issues like pollution, air pollution is there, water issues are there, deficiency in supply of water is there. The entire system is yet to go to the level of sustaining this entire population. So, from the governance perspective also, it is very important that we have quite a number of good policies that, and it is the implementation which we have to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Kamal, sir, maybe you could pick up from where you left.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, because sir was there, and then I want to listen to him before. So satellite times, as I spoke about, so when MG Road 1 would have started as such, so that's where the congestion started basically, when the business and the residential and commercial and everything was a hub of one place, right? And those times we never used to have technology, no mobiles and nothing. So the city was functioning itself. Then with massive urbanization and metros and people coming in and IT sector growing in Silicon Valley, the name the Bangalore got after that. So the congestion happened in so rapid extent that it was unable to handle the thing. Now, when congestion happens at one place, the problem is that it becomes like not livable after some. There's a saturation level for everything, right? Like at a point you will feel like, no, I don't want to live. I have seen this Shivaji Nagar like you go to streets and all that, and you go to MG Road also, there are particular Church Street. We call Church Street like how small it is actually. So it's although like a big location. So when I talk about nice and big locations, I should imagine spaces which are wide and broad and nice. But since those have been formulated starting itself, so that's why we have like no wider roads. Because imagine those times, I think Maruti 800 was like the biggest car that was there, right? So automatically, when Maruti 800 is the biggest car, the amount of space Maruti 800 takes on the road width is also less. Two Maruti 800s are takes a space of around 5 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet of road width is required for two Maruti 800 to pass through each other for the up and down. Now the same thing has replaced by bigger cars like Audi, Jaguars, and whatnot. So the car length also increased with the luxury coming in picture, and accordingly the road width also has to increase. But that can't increase, right? Because those are already existing with the previous standards which were designed already. So because of all these factors, when Prestige and amazingly they had a vision, like we talk about big builders, and they had a vision. They were able to see that the congestion is happening rapidly in city, and we have to decongest it, and then we have to formulate a place where people who are in the elite sector, or the like, for example, like IT sector, if I talk about, then they have to live. Now I'm sure I myself as an architect, when I'm designing big spaces and open spaces, I don't want to live in places which has got like short, small streets and all that, right? Because nobody want to stay there actually. It is only old people with that mentality who have stayed there. They want to not leave that place and they want to stay there. They can stay there for a long time because they have got sentimental association with that. But as a young generation coming up, I don't think we are very adapted. We like our houses to be bright and nice, good amount of natural ventilation coming in and all those. Now, natural ventilation, like look at how small things matter. For example, if I talk about natural ventilation, we have a 30-40 plot. So if we have 30-40 plot, we are leaving an offset of both the side. People are touching each other and making houses these days. When you're touching the houses next to each other, do you think you can make windows? No, you can't. You can have windows only to the front part of the building. You can't have windows on the three side of building. I have seen people I have designed many plots where three side the buildings were touching this particular property of 30-40. And this client is asking me now, what should I do, sir? There's no space for ventilation. I said, you leave offset of 2 feet. So he's telling me, why should I lose out on my area and give them give these guys that space, and then I am losing out on my livable area? And that starts again from a concept. If I give you a plot of say 20 feet, it's a very small example, like 20 feet by 20 feet, and you have a room there. So the Bangalore mentality is more going towards, I have to use the entire 20 feet by 20 feet because I'm paying for the entire 25 by 20 feet. It's like 400 square feet. So 400 square feet, I'm paying per square feet. Why should I not live that whole space? But that's not living. 20 by 20, if you use entirely, then you don't have no scope for ventilation. If the same thing, if I make it in say half of it, 10 by 10, and I leave the rest of the space for green area, now I think I will love that bedroom. I'll have a nice big balcony opening to the greenery outside, and then I think I'm living my life, right? I don't think I'm still utilizing my 20 feet by 20 feet, but I'm having the bedroom half, and I'm my open. That's where we go to resorts and all that to have that feel. So why don't we have that feel in our cities, in our home itself? No, we don't. We want to use the entire each like this thing. That's the reason setbacks itself people don't leave. Now imagine if I leave a setback of 2 feet, my neighbor leaves a setback of 2 feet, I get 4 feet of ventilation in the between these two houses. Now when that ventilation increases, that is where the decongestion starts from. This is where the policymakers have to be very adamant on. When I'm talking about a plan sanction, when the plan goes for sanctioning, people who take bribe and then they sign off all the documents. I mean, I myself give my plans. My plans are horrible at times. I am myself living 1.5. Me as an architect, the plan sanction, the rule says 12% from the front of any building, 8% of both the side, and 8% of the back, right? So 12% is almost like, if I say 30-40 plot, 6 feet is gone from the front. Now imagine if 6 feet is gone from the front, how much of space, how much of bedroom, your bedrooms will be very small and all those things. Now people think that that is bad thing, but I don't think that's a bad thing. You have more greenery areas, like you used to have old houses and all those things. So now this is where the satellite things come into picture, because people are so much into congestion and they can't create houses with those offsets and all those things. So people started moving out to satellite towns, like the what Prestige has created. So satellite town is a town which lives by itself. It doesn't need, as I said, Chandigarh. So satellite town is town which lives by itself. Then they created these buildings, high rise. You see most of like Baglu Cross, and those areas are developing. Devanhalli full stretches there right now. So the towers, first of all, takes very less space compared to the whole. If I take like 10 houses and I take one tower, stack these 10 houses on top of each other and make a tower. Those spaces for the 10 houses is remain for the greenery around. Okay, so tower, first of all, it acts like a very good essential for the ecosystem, because you breathe fresh air, you have nice open areas and everything. And after that, again, the commercial spaces start around it, because automatically these people, work home relationship is also important. The people who are living there, has their children has to go to school. Now anybody want to send their children to school, they want a, like next door. They don't want to send to like some far off. Already traffic is so much. So the, if you have want to have school next door, if you have if you want to go to salon, spa, or restaurant, anything that has to be like really next door, then you have to create a city in itself which can function by itself. That's what is called a satellite town. So we have to look into these regulations which are important.
Thank you, sir, for that response. And I think it's very interesting for someone like me, or even someone in the audience maybe who doesn't probably know, or doesn't probably think so much when it comes to architecture and construction. So it's really interesting to hear. My next question is actually to Dr. Harsha. Sir, my question is, we have an expansive legal regime that concerns the environment in our country. Both at the center as well as the state, we have a number of laws that address various aspects of the environment. But for some reason, and I think you would agree with me, it's not translating into actual practice. For instance, if we take Bangalore itself as an example, in the past year, we've had erratic climate and weather conditions, and we've also had a severe water crisis that the city has faced. And it's not just Bangalore. Throughout the country, we've heard a number of instances of floods and landslides and so on and so forth. So, sir, I'd like to know from you, you speak about problems with governance. Is this just a problem with governance, or are there other gaps in the system, which is why the laws that we have and the policies that we have are not translating into actual practice?
Yes, I will take this question from the governance perspective. Yes, we do agree there are gaps in the society from governance point of view while implementing the policies that has been promulgated by Government of India with respect to the pollution issues. Traditionally, our country, first formulated the Water Act in 1971, and then Air Act also. Subsequently, Environmental Protection Act also was enacted in 1986. So, since the inception of these policies and acts, that there is, I do agree, there is a issue with respect to governance in terms of implementing these policies at ground level. So these policies definitely have some proper and good intentions in terms of environmental protection. Basically, its main intention is to protect the environment and conserve our resources. But as already has been pointed out, this is not very unique to our city or our country, but most part of the world, it is now witnessing these situations. I would like to give you the example of Cape Town, the South African city, which witnessed drastic drought situations, and it was a city without a drop of water somewhere around 2018, much prior to the situation that our city witnessed. No doubt, it is a city which is having a population of 1 crore 40 lakhs. We are trying to get water, and there is no perennial water source which is flowing through the city. Unlike London, where Thames River is there, or many of the cities even in our country which is having a good perennial source of water which is close to the city. We have to get water from a place which is about 80 kilometers, and that water is getting pumped to a very high height, spending a lot of energy actually. So last year and the previous year, we had deficit of water, about 25% deficit of water was there in terms of rainfall that was witnessed during those 2 years. So consequently, in addition to that, there was groundwater depletion. Our city, about 8 to 10% of water that is serving the city is from groundwater sources. So as pointed out by Mr. Kamal, most of the areas in the city is not pervious. We have built structures, we have constructed roads, we have constructed flyovers, buildings and other things, which has virtually covered the entire surface area of the exposed surface area of the city is being covered totally. So we are putting bitumen, we are putting concrete for roads and all. So there is no area which can allow water to percolate and reach at the groundwater. So as BBMP has come with a solution to go for rainwater recharging in each and every plot. Any construction area which is more than 2,000 square feet of site area has to necessarily provide recharging structures. In addition to that, we will have to go for harvesting also. We have to collect the rooftop water and collect it and reuse for our domestic purpose. So this is the situation. This is not very unique to our city, but most of the cities, metropolitan cities, it is facing this problem. Of course, we have issues with respect to mobility, and there are optimum number of issues which has to be addressed not only through governance, but the societal aspect is also very important. The society also should come forward. If there is a law which is to be implemented, it is also the responsibility of the individual to implement that law also. So governance is one aspect, and the individual responsibility is also equally important. So whatever law has been promulgated, even this environmental impact assessment notification is there, where many of the projects has to undergo the scrutiny of the legal perspective, and then only the project will be clear. But at times, as you rightly said, that monitoring system has to be more robust from the governance point of view, and I think in the next futuristic days, this will definitely be implemented.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. And I think something that I'm able to take back from that answer is that we do have a robust system in place, but there are structural issues in the governance as well as implementation. And I'd like to pick up from that thought and ask my next question to Sitesh, sir, which is, sir, you've worked in the IT industry, and we hear that some of the solutions, possible solutions to issues with governance as well as issues that deal with implementation is private and public partnership. And I think there's no better entity that can be a better private player to partner with public institutions, unlike MNCs and firms. So, sir, I'd like to know from you, as someone from the IT sector, what do you think that the IT can bring in as unique solutions to problems that are faced by the government in both governance as well as implementation? And how does it look like? How does IT sector collaborating with the government for governance look like? If you could shed some light for us. Sir, you're actually on mute, sir. We are not able to hear you.
Yeah, sure. Your SDG 8, which is decent work and economic growth, which also translates as a acha kaam or arthik vikas, So IT industry as such brings in one of the best working environments, which brings in the best of the, you can say both worlds or rest of the world into our Indian paradigm, where most of the IT corporates are very sensitive about the sustainability part. Wherever I have worked, in India, in Japan, where I have worked for a long time, and also in the South Africa, where Mr. Sri Harsha just spoke about Cape Town. Yeah, while this crisis was unfolding over there, I was working in South Africa for many years. So I have seen that part of the world, and I can compare it with India. See, IT industry can bring in a lot of at least the transparency part of it. And when I say transparency part of it, the first thing and the lowest hanging fruit is the dashboard for any kind of a public project. So my speakers, friends, they have spoken about a lot of things happening in Bangalore. I myself have been in Bangalore for almost 13, 14 years now. I think it is very important for all of us, the citizens, to go to a public dashboard and see the progress, if not on a daily, but at least on a weekly basis. Whether it is a metro, whether it is a road, whether it is a sanitation, whether it is BWSSB, or the landfill where the garbage is being dumped. I think for any sustainable development, and I think IT companies are doing their bit. May not be as much as it is expected, but it is being done at various levels. I can see in Bangalore, and not only Bangalore, in other cities of India as well. The parks are maintained, the lakes are maintained, the tree drives are happening when I go for a morning walk. So IT industry is poised with, I think, there has to be a dashboard, public dashboard. The other thing is about some, data sharing platforms also have to happen, so that public can also chip in. They can talk about certain inputs in their neighborhood, where today it is not possible anywhere. In I have to write something, I have to file an RTI, I have to go to nearby BBMP offices to find out things and all. It could be online. Why it cannot be? The other thing is that there can be a partnership with digital networks. So there are many networks, and I'm very thankful that Christ University has brought out this event and seminar today. I think we all, in our respective IT organizations versus colleges and universities, which I visit a lot and speak to the students as well as the academic fraternity, there are data which is being generated. There has to be a digital partnership of, the data has to move on, the thoughts have to move on, and everybody has to think in only two areas. One is the thought leadership, and the actions which arise out of thought leadership. The SDG 9 that you talk about, which is a very interesting for me from an IT industry perspective, which says that industry innovations and infrastructure. Okay, so IT industry is all about innovations, and these look like all digital innovations, which are not something like which I can show it to you right now. Okay, but it happens, right? It happens every day. Innovations are there. So what it calls it also is said in Hindi is that SDG 9 is said as Udyog, Navachar or Bunyadi Dhacha ka Vikas. That is the essential infrastructures development. So it has to go at the grassroots level. And I think there has to be crowdsourcing solutions from an IT perspective. There could be some blockchain solutions which IT industry can actually bring in. And I think all of this, there may be a nodal agency to manage all that, or a governance to manage all that. But I think we can't blame only the governance. It has to be from bottoms up and also from the top down, and somewhere in middle we will meet. That's my submission to this discussion.
Thank you so much, sir. And I completely agree with your thought on how it's not always a top to bottom approach, but also a bottom to top approach. And I actually also, in the opening remarks that were given by Venkatesh sir, where he talked about how everyone should think globally but act locally. I think that's a very unique thought, and that's why Venkatesh sir, my next question is to you. So you're someone who works at the ground level, so you know the various stakeholders who you would see at the ground level. Now, of course, the majority of the responsibility is on the government, is on the bureaucracy to ensure that there is implementation. But sir, can you tell us how citizens like you and I, and like everyone in the audience, can help in governance, can be a part of governance, and can ensure that there is good governance as well as good institutions?
Sure, thanks. Um, I've been working on environment cause for last 15 years now. I live in this area called Akshay Nagara, which is off of Bannerghatta Road near Meenakshi Mall. So I bought a site, like Kamal was saying, we all buy sites, and I built the house looking at a lake that was kind of very close to my, the layout, kind of walkable. So then I was busy as usual, all of us are working professions, and I did not actually heed to the, need that lake was calling us, but because lake was kind of getting deteriorated with a lot of pollution and sewage and people, using it as a toilet kind of a thing and things like that. So at some point, we realized that it's going out of hands, we are not able to take care of it. And that's when I think we formed a team called Jalanidhi, and
Wow.
we were new to all these things. We didn't know who governs the lakes, who takes care of it, and what kind of budget it has, and who should do what. There are like multiple institutions like BBMP Lakes Department, BDA, and Lake Development Authority, and there is something like Karnataka State Tank, CDA, and things like that. There are processes and things like that. So all we did was, so we were all new, and then we kind of wrote a letter to the LDA chairman, then, Lake Development Authority. He came in. We were actually happy, I mean, I'll tell you, and he came and visited and then said, we'll do something about it. And happy and forgot it, thinking that they will do. And it was to ask for, basically, I understand their pain point and things like that. But so nothing happened, then we decided ourselves, we'll take things in our hand to at least, clean the things, take care of the lake, at least until the time they come in and then kind of correct it. But never happened. So we started working on the lake, all the, citizens, part of the layout, it brought it to a state where you can use it, go visit the lake, and of course, the bad elements went out because there are drunkards and toilet users and things like laborers, things like that. They kind of, because it kind of got cleaned and things like that. So we had, so we continued, but we continued. One thing we continued is writing to the Department of Lake, be it, sometimes it was BDA, sometimes it was BMMP and things like that. By the time we befriend some engineer, he would have gone transferred in next few months and things. But we kind of ensured that through emails we are in touch. Okay, so there is population was increasing, the neighborhood was kind of developing, and the layout developer had done a sewage pit right next to the lake, and then we kind of thought one day we will take it out and connect it to the main line, which is about 1 kilometer long. We would have drawn, we could have drawn a pipe to connect it to sewer line of the city. So we did that. Literally we went house to house, and then there is a leading a vocalist here, RK Padmanabh. So we went around home, and then we collected funds, and we drew a line from the lake periphery to the sewer line that addressed the sewage entering into the lake. So there was a lot of learning in doing this, and then rest of the history today. I mean, any of your college or anybody can come in and look at the lake. It's kind of model lake now. It has got a beautiful footfall, and people use it for their oxygen center. At the kind of in the urban city, like urban places, lake revival is very difficult because time and again the water catchment area gets apartments or layouts and things like that. They don't get
Yes.
right things from the policies that is kind of instructed by PCB or governance model. They don't take care of, some people take care, some people don't. So it's always a fight with those catchment area people to ensure that our lake is safe. We do that. Probably about a month back, we are on the road to ensure that the BWSSP engineer, BBMP engineer comes and resolves our issue of a new apartment which was letting the sludge out open in the drain. So this is part of the BBMP, jurisdiction. It falls under Ward 192. So where I'm coming from is, I think people can actually bring a change, and I'm not saying that there is no contribution from BBMP engineers. There was a contribution. They did come and address some of the issues, like the one of the bund was leaking and they rebuilt the bund. But then the problem is we had wonderful number of lakes in Bangalore. If all are taken care, I think our water needs are probably can be addressed within the Bangalore city, and we don't have to pump it up from 100 kilometers down the altitude. But it probably is a resource issue or the activeness of the departments. They don't even know where the lakes are. So unless the team at the local actually go and say, we are from Akshay Nagara and there's a lake inside our neighborhood. Oh, is it? Okay, let's look at the list. So they have a list. Okay, thanks for coming. Okay, we will start working with you. That's positive. So we got our lakes boundary fence, because when we did not have a boundary, we didn't know where to work on the lake. So that was our starting point. And now, once we are done with the lake, there is another lake which is next to it, about a kilometer away. We were able to revive that also, but this time it was not by us, but government. But we are taking care of it. And then this entire experience that we as a team got, we kind of started spreading. We actually celebrate every year when the lake fills up and then overflows. It's kind of a celebration. You can imagine the celebration. We light up the lamps on the lake and then celebrate the once in a year, basically. Just when I think next month or in a month or two, if Bangalore gets rains this time. I think I'm not seeing enough rains yet. So this is the wonderful experience that we got, and we kind of spread out. So this actually took us outside of this only lake and then talk about other aspects of environment also. It's like water conservation at home, and rainwater harvesting, or saving water in the leaky taps, to small things we started. We had workshops towards that. There is something called aerator. Recently, I'm sure, you all have read, BWS has mandated an aerator to be fixed in every tap that in households. It brings a lot of water consumption down. We did that experiment in an apartment called DLF, which is in the same layout as I live in, and it has got about 1,800 flats, and we fitted 1,800 into 3 aerators, which is a peanut cost. And the amount of water they saved is 2 tankers of 10,000 liters each per day. Now imagine, extrapolate it over the period of time, and you'll see big savings. And they were really, really happy about it. Small thing, right? I think it costs about 10 rupees. Chickpet vendor will sell it for 10 rupees. A bulk, 8 rupees. If you're known somebody in Delhi, probably you can bring it for 4 rupees. I don't know. So such things we started, because what we understood is doing a lake is pretty high intensive work effort that is involved in communicating with the governance and also to the people, neighborhood, to ensure that they understand the value of it. Now some of them understand, which who are not involved in it, because the groundwater table has improved. The borewells that they use have improved. There is a lot more water in the area. So now they understand. So then we thought, this is not everybody's cup of tea, right? It's big effort in communicating, getting things done, or doing things on ourselves and things like that. So we started with workshops with smaller things, what an individual can do, changing his lifestyle, LIFE, lifestyle for environment. PPP is what I said. Everybody can be a PPP guy, and what is that? Very simple. It looks probably mad at times, but it actually makes sense. Can everybody take bath in just 1 bucket of water and forget that shower, and then all this? I'm sure, and I'm talking to the teenager, Gen Z, Gen Alpha and Beta and things like that. But then Harsha had brought up a case. We were actually conservative society in using the natural resources always. But now, luxury has increased, and we have a lot more money in the pocket, and economy is improved over the period of time. But 1 bucket of water it is possible, mug and bucket basically. And entire year our culture is offering water to people. हम लोग सबको पानी देते हैं, आते घर में आते ही पानी देते हैं. Can we give half glass of water instead of full? Because generally people drink half or even 10% and slip and keep it. So entire water goes to the drains down. Crores of liters of water can be saved. And this Abid Surti, I'm sure your college would have heard, Mumbai guy, who went house to house, knock on the door, and with a wrench in the hand and then washer, he said, "Aapke ghar mein tap leak ho raha hai kya?" So he used to fix that. So we actually did a workshop here where we got some plumbers around and then made them visit the houses and ensure that their taps are fixed.
Hmm.
कल करेंगे ऐसे कल कितना पानी जाता रहेगा, we don't know, you know.
Hmm.
So that's about water. And then waste, I'm sure, you know, this is a city, Bangalore, if you take urban place, 1.5 crores right now, but then it's been 50 years, it has leaps and bounds jumped. Two reasons, I mean, a lot of business and good weather and good dosa and coffee, you know. So definitely people are going to be coming here. And then I was reading some data. Let me kind of, you know, quickly see that. Okay, I think it's gone. So 29 out of 126 entrepreneurs are from Bangalore. That
Wow.
unicorn. Imagine the, you know, the business that is going to grow in next few years, or you know, a decade or something like that. We are going to face waste management issues. Today it's 5,000 tons per day. Per day,
Yes.
5,000 tons. We'll soon have Delhi kind of a situation or Mumbai kind of situation very soon in Bangalore. I think Bangalore people should wake up looking at other places and probably look at Indore style of functioning and governance where they can become, take that model up and then, you know, do something. So what can individual do? Segregate the waste. Very important. It still is not happening. We still see black spots around the city, you know. Segregate the waste. And then घर का कचरा घर में रहने दो. So if you're buying more, keep it inside. I don't know what you do, but do it. So for example, kitchen waste you compost, and polythene waste you keep it somewhere. So make it you know, kind of looking beautiful or something. Keep it inside the home. अगर नहीं रखना चाहते हो तो मत use करो, you know, or you pay for it, you know, things like that. So a lot of things, you know. So waste management, water, and plantation. Can we have at least 5 plants at home? Let's understand the plants. There are a lot of medicinal plants that you can have. There are a lot of good-looking plants, you know, flowering plants. Every house, be it flat or, you know, house, you know, independent house, can have 5 minimum. I mean, I'm sure, you know, there are people who have made good terrace gardens out in the, it should increase. That tribe should increase, you know. And then water for, you know, birds and animals. You know, today urban places have no water.
Sir, I think you've been muted, sir. If you could mute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I don't know where I kind of got muted. So, okay, terrace garden kind of tribe, you know, should increase. At home, we should have 5 plants. And then, can we have a bowl of water in front of the house and on the terrace for animals and birds? There is this NGO I heard, Water for Voiceless, doing very nice work. 18 states they've been giving water bowls everywhere. You know, it's out of passion. They don't collect any money. They manage funds and things like that. So everybody should do that. And energy consumption. Switch off the lights and fans when not in use. Very simple things, very simple act that can reduce every unit reduced in every house across households of India can contribute a lot. So 5 points I addressed: water, plants, waste management, animals, animals and birds, and then energy consumption. हर घर हरित घर हो सकता है क्या?
Hmm.
Every house should be a greenhouse. From there I think we start, and then we can start taking it down to the masses where we have our influences like institution like Christ Law School. I mean, can it become zero waste campus? Zero waste campus doesn't mean that the campus should not have any waste output, but how does it manage? There is a good presentation, I can forward it to you guys, and we can have a presentation or whatever whenever we have time available. Can it be a zero waste campus and take care of the entire campus and waste management and other stuff basically? So because the footfall tomorrow, your own students are going to become IAS officers and doctors and wherever influential people. Can they take care of it? Can this be seeded now in their mind to kind of take care? So that's where I think every individual and every community should participate with governance. For one thing, I would still want Bangalore governance, or basically Karnataka governance, I mean, because you're living here, is have more interaction with such neighborhood people who want their city to be taken care well from every standpoint. more interaction, more solutions, more implementable things. Because I mean, this country of 140 crore now cannot just depend on some governance. It has to be people and governance combination. I think all of the panelists probably said that. And unless we are part of that, and both from a policy standpoint and the implementation standpoint, I think we'll not be able to sustain this kind of pressure of the pollution that is kind of alarming at this situation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think there's a lot that we can take from what you've just said as to how everyone in the audience, me included, can do to ensure that we are also a part of good governance and the formation of good institutions. I would now like to open the floor for questions. The audience, if you have any questions, you can put it down in the chat box and I will take it from there. Unfortunately, since we're very limited on time, I will just be taking one question. And if anyone else has any questions, you can direct it to the committee and the committee will get in touch with the panelists. So if anyone has any questions, if you can put it up on the chat box and I will take it from there. Ayan, you have a question, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a little complicated to put in the chat box. Could I just minimize it and
Yeah,
just say
you could probably just ask the question then. And
Okay. Thank you so much. I relate a lot to actually what Venkatesh sir was talking about earlier, because in one of the assignments that we had to analyze any lakes that had a lot of garbage in them. And one of them was the Bhagmane Tech Park Lake, which I live very close to. And so when we were, looking into what is the authority, why there's so much garbage being dumped, we also were studying the Air Act, Water Act, as well as the EPA during this time. And I got to know that the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board had actually taken cognizance of the matter. And they did so actually every 6 months, whereby they're supposed to give directions as per Section 33A as well. But the main problem was that they were not being implemented, because the only thing that they could do is just, like I said, merely give directions. So I wanted to ask to the entire panel, what could be the possible solutions? Also, a twofold question. This is a little separate, but Sitesh sir was talking about the IT sector, and I wanted to ask with regards to ESG mandates. How effective are they in the IT and corporate sector, and what immediate benefits could we see if they came into fruition? So I know it's a little different, and I've sort of tried to club the two together, but yeah, that would be the questions. Thank you.
So on a quick note on the SDG versus ESG, that is something industry is seeing a lot and very fast. It's nothing that is, putting into the cold box. In proposals after proposals, internationally, IT industry has to respond about the ESG. And the ESG has to also somewhere tightly linked with the SDG. That's for sure. And just to be on a little lighter note, being in Bangalore, ESG helps out in a much surprising ways. Many of our colleagues are traveling by Yulu instead of Ola. And I think it has got a much better carbon footprint, right? And then, thanks to the health concerns today, many people are taking stairs rather than the elevators, if we go up to that level. But I think ESG has to succeed along with the SDGs. But just to conclude my sentence, that India is still if I see the ranks, is just 109 out of 166 kind of places. And in fact, our neighbors like Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, they are also not very far behind in that matter. Okay, USA itself is just 45 kind of. Okay, and in India itself, I mean, Niti Aayog has come up with the ranking, and I see that Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand, and Kerala top the performing states in SDGs, and Bihar, Nagaland, and a couple of more, are in the lowest. So there's a lot of things that we need to think. And while we are talking about the city-specific challenges, it has to be extrapolated for maybe more model cities, as Mr. Kamal talked about satellite cities or smart cities, I recently heard that Bangalore will have its something like a gift city very closer
Yes.
home. So I think there is a very interesting aspect, and we would like to join hands from IT industry, from academics, from BBMPs, and all nodal agencies as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take any more questions at this point because we've run out of time for our panel discussion today. If any student or any member of the audience has any question, you can direct it, like I previously stated, to our committee, and the committee will in turn get in touch with the panelists to have your answers for you. With that, we've come to the end of today's panel discussion. I'm extremely honored and grateful to our panelists for having been here on a Sunday morning and for discussing such crucial issues with us today. And I'm also very pleased and thankful for the students for joining in and listening to us. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to moderate this session for you today. And I hope you all have a very pleasant Sunday. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to have this conversation with everyone, because it is an important topic and we should talk more often, especially on this level. So thank you so much.
And wish the school best, all the best, kind of take it forward, especially Ayan, who is the head. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
I now invite Mr. Gautam Suja Satish, the convener of Model United Nations Society at School of Law, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Gautam Satish, the convener of Model United Nations Society, School of Law, Christ deemed to be University, on behalf of my Model United Nations Society, School of Law, and SDG Cell, Christ University, it's my privilege to deliver a vote of thanks at the conclusion of this insightful, engaging panel discussion. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the esteemed panelists, Venkatesh, Mr. Venkatesh, Dr. K.R. Sriharsha, Dr. Sitish Srivastav, and Mr. Kamal for their time and the wealth of knowledge they have shared with us today. Your expertise in governance and institutional sectors has greatly enriched our understanding of the challenges and opportunities in this area, and we deeply appreciate your valuable insights. I would like to thank our incredibly competent moderator, Mr. Calvet Nasrat, for skillfully guiding the discussion and ensuring the conversation flowed smoothly, covering all the essential aspects. A big thank you to Dipari Dua, who did a wonderful job as our MC. I would like to acknowledge the support of management of Christ University, Father Thomas TV, Director of School of Law, Christ deemed to be University in absentia, Dr. Jaydevan Asnaya, Dean School of Law, Christ deemed to be University in absentia, and Dr. Sapna S, Associate Dean, Christ deemed to be University, School of Law, Christ deemed to be University in absentia, have been instrumental in making this event possible. Special thanks to our faculty coordinator, Ms. Dia CR, Model United Nations Society, and Dr. Leena James, Director SDG Cell, Christ University, for their constant support and guidance. Without your commitment and effort, this collaboration wouldn't have been success it is. I also take a moment to thank my fellow convener Amity Agarwal for her hard work and dedication in organizing this event, and big thanks to Ayan, the president of SDG Cell at the Christ University, for his leadership in pushing forward the cause of sustainable development. Last but not the least, a sincere thank you to my fellow committee members whose teamwork and relentless efforts have been crucial to the success of this event. Your support has been invaluable. To all of you who have joined us today, thank you for being an engaged and thoughtful audience. We look forward to continue participation in future events. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gautam. With this, we come to the end of today's session. I sincerely thank each one of you to have squared time out of your precious schedules on this Sunday morning and contribute to the success of this panel discussion. I extend a heartfelt gratitude to our panelists for sharing the valuable insights with all of us, and I'm confident that I speak on behalf of each one of us when I say that dedicating this Sunday to such a meaningful discussion was definitely worth it. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great day ahead. For the student body, you will be receiving the feedback form email shortly, and you're requested to fill the same by today itself. Any further questions directed to the panelists would be taken up by the committee via email itself. Thank you.